Hey, how you doing? Arthur Wu here, and today we are looking at a brand new product from Tiffin, the Lowel TOTA LED XL. They sent me a demo unit to check out, do some testing on, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside. All right, we have a few things here. This is a ballast-based system, so we have a separate ballast, 5600 Kelvin only, so it's daylight only, but it has a lot of light. So to be able to get the full amount of punch out of it, you want all the LEDs working at full 100%. We have a dimmer here from 0 to 100. And then we also have a V-mount, so if you wanted to use it for outside or remote stuff, you can do that. We have these little barn doors here, and so if you're familiar with the old school Lowel TOTA units, they have those barn doors that you can use to really control the light itself. And so these clip onto the unit, and they also, the interesting feature is that they have these little clips here for gels and diffusion. So if you want to diffuse a little bit more, add some diffusion sheets on there, or a color correction gel like a green or magenta, or if you wanted to change it from the 5600 Kelvin to the 3200 for tungsten-based work, you can use these clips to kind of help you with that, which is really key, I think. So you don't have to carry around clips with you. Because there are sometimes, you know, I've been on set where you have just daylight units only, and then somehow there's never enough clips. I'm always looking for more clips. So to have that built in there is really nice. We have some cables here, and also this is an object that helps to attach the ballast to the actual stand, whatever stand you're using. So you just kind of clip that on there and attach the ballast on there. And here we have the TOTA LED XL light unit. So this is a really compact unit. You can see, compared to the size of my head, I have a pretty big head, so I don't really know what that says, but no, but all kidding aside, this is a really small unit for the amount of output that it produces. And so similar to the old school TOTA units, you can see here that you can control how this opens and closes. So you can control where the beams of light are going. And if you open it all the way up, you'll see here you have a nice little panel. And this is actually really deceptive because for my testing, the amount of output that this is going to give is really, really powerful for the size. And if you're trying to eke out a little bit more power, there's some built-in diffusion sheets here that you can actually remove so you can get the bare LED bulbs and get a little bit more power out of that. So all in all, I'm highly impressed by this particular unit just from the quick testing that I've done. And we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of the footage and talk about it. I wanted to start to describe the scene that we have just for our initial setup. This is a living room scene. We have the light coming in from the outdoor of the windows. This is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon in New York City in the winter. The buildings outside are in shade, if that gives you any indication of you know, the kind of the light that's coming out from the windows, as well as a Christmas tree there. Those are just regular Christmas tree lights. And the settings were 800 ISO at f4. So we started with nothing. The light's gonna be camera right, just a 45-degree setup here. And then as we turn it on, this is 1%. And look at what 1% does. It basically balances out the Christmas tree and it lights up the room a little bit. So you're already getting a ton of power at 1%. I mean, to me, this says a lot. That's a lot of light. And here we go up to 50%. So you can see here, it starts to balance out the back a little bit more. There might even be too much light inside. And then we're gonna move up to 100%. And now you're starting to see, I didn't balance for it just because I wanted to see like how much light would come out. So talent's obviously overexposed, but you can see what that looks like there. And this is what the setup looks like. We have 250 diffusion and clipped into those barn doors that we talked about earlier. And so you can see how you can really get a little bit of control into this light unit with the diffusion. So, you know, 250 will give you about 3/4 of a stop. I think I doubled it up actually. I folded it in half. So it's really maybe like a stop and a half. So you're really getting a little bit of diffusion there, but it softens it up quite a bit. All right, so this one isn't as aesthetically pleasing. However, I just wanted to see what the light looked like without the 250 diffusion in front of it. This is with the built-in light diffusion panels into the unit. And this is at 1%. So you're still getting a lot of light out of it. You're getting much more actually, more of a stop and a half out of it. But you're actually seeing that, you know, this is what it looks, it's a hard light. It's without any light modifiers in front of it. The next frame here, and I just want to pause this for 1 second and say something. First couple of test shots, they were just really plain light just coming onto the talent itself. The thing that I look for in light units is not necessarily how fancy it is or whatever, but you know, when it comes to how flexible can it be in terms of the amount of output and how I can modify it. Because really that's where the artistry and the craft of cinematography comes. Because you can have a light unit, but as long as you can shape it into what you want, you can really get some impressive results. And so as we go through these, we're starting to get a little bit more into the craft as far as shaping the light. And so what we're looking at with this particular image is instead of pointing the light directly on the talent, I'm bouncing it into a 4x4 Ultra Bounce. And it's basically just a really white reflective material. But instead of going directly onto the talent, when you bounce light off of a surface onto a talent, it just makes the light a little bit more flattering. So here, the light is much softer. You can see the softer shadows. And her face is very it's a little bit more angelic because it's not so harsh. The fact that I can modify this light by just pointing in different directions and the amount of power that it gives, that's really what I'm looking for. And that's why I was so impressed with this particular light unit, because generally the smaller LED units don't output a ton of light. And so you're not able to get this soft, big feel. But the fact that it has so much power coming out of it, you can really start to shape it a little bit more and get into the world of cinema a bit. All right, so this next image here is through a 4x4 full grid. So the bigger the light source, the softer the shadows are gonna be. So this is a bit softer than that 250 that we were looking at, because it is a bit bigger as far as the light unit's concerned. This is actually what really impressed me, because this is the light bare without any diffusion on it. And it's just in a different angle. It's just more frontal. So, this is something that you would see more in like a beauty setup, something of that nature, where you're going more straight on the light. And here, once we put up a 4x4 diffusion, now we're starting to get into a little bit more of the craft. This looks more to me like cinema. Like we're in a room with soft light, and it looks a little bit more like we might be shooting for a film. So this is an addendum to the video. I actually had to go out and get a V-mount battery to test what it would look like outside, how much power it would output against the sun. So here we have our scene. It was a pretty bright day, and the camera settings were f5.6 at 320 ISO and ND6 in front of the lens. So it was a very bright day, and I wanted to see how much light that the TOTA LED XL output in comparison, to see if there's any balancing that was possible. All right, so this is what it's like with the light on, and I was actually very impressed with the output that we're getting out of this light. So this is no diffusion at all at 100%. And you can see it's quite a bit of light. So the only caveat here, disclaimer and what have you, is it's actually extremely bright. So you have to be very careful with the talent's eyes, because you don't want to hurt their eyes. If I were in this situation, I would definitely dim the light down or diffuse it so that the talent isn't affected by this particular light, because it is so bright. So that's something you want to be aware of. But other than that, I mean, the cost for the amount of output that we're getting on this light is pretty incredible, and I was highly impressed by this particular test. All right, so I hope that was helpful in seeing what the Lowel TOTA LED XL can actually offer. And again, my biggest thing when I look at lights is the amount of raw power and how I can shape it. The craft really comes from knowing how to shape your lights, because once you can shape your lights, you can do so many different things with it. It's not just about pointing the light directly at the talent. You really can have a lot of versatility with a powerful unit. And I'm highly impressed with the TOTA XL because of that. It's such a small light unit. You can shape it any way you want. And so the amount of power plus the amount of flexibility that comes with it is really something to take a look at if you're looking for a small light unit that you can shape. So if you have any questions, post them below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. All right, guys, peace.